And we're back here on Before the Score. This is episode 2. I would like to thank everybody who tuned in for our first ever episode. Thank you all for your support, and we hope to only grow from here. So let's get right into it. This is Before the Score episode 2. We got a lot of topics from this weekend to go over. My first one that I have to bring up, how about them Cowboys?
Oh, man. They did play very well. You got to give them credit. The Rams were a hot team. They were playing really well. The offense, Goff looked amazing, and they just completely shut them down. McVay looked clueless on that sideline.
That was the best game I saw Dak Prescott play this year, easily.
Yeah, well, yeah, and that game against the Vikings, too, he played very well. Passing the ball. Mm-hmm. I mean, they shut down Ezekiel Elliott, so he did have to play extremely well for them to win that game, which they didn't. But this game, yes, everything was working for the Cowboys. The defense looked actually very good. I mean, I don't know if it's on Goff, it's on McVay, or this is a Cowboys story where the Cowboys were the better team and they deserved to blow them out. I don't know.
In my opinion, I really thought the Rams were going to win last week. They were my lock of the week, actually. Wow. And it was basically a pick'em game.
Oh, yeah.
And I put some money on them. I lost $20 on the Rams. And they just got blown out. It was ugly. Todd Gurley didn't have a good game. Nope. Goff looked horrible. McVay looked overmatched by Jason Garrett.
I know. Who would have thought?
I don't know if it was that much that coaching. I mean, there were two opposite teams going into this. The Rams were one of the hotter teams in the league. The Cowboys, one of the coldest, coming off that loss to the Bears. This is kind of the Cowboys' recipe for success. I mean, they have to run the ball with Zeke. Zeke kind of reminded everyone why he's one of the best running backs in football. He looked really good last week. The defense played probably best as it ever has this year. So if they keep that recipe going, they should win that division. So we'll discuss that a little more later.
All right, guys. So I'm gonna put it to you guys the easiest way I can. This is sports, right? If the best team won every time, it wouldn't be any fun, and the best team would just win every year. So it's just something where the Cowboys, they brought it, they won, and they had that fire and intensity, and that's something that we should not sleep on them for the rest of the year. I do think they could be a major force going forward.
I have to agree with that. I think the Cowboys will be a major force going forward. As much as it pains me to admit it, I can see the Cowboys going a little run after that. They have the momentum. The coach is hot now. He's still on the hot seat, but I think they can go on a little run if they feed Zeke. They got Tavon Austin involved, who he's still dangerous. He may not have ever realized his potential in the NFL, but he's a dangerous wide receiver.
I hate to downplay this game. I know it was a big win, and the Rams were a great team, but it's one game. I mean, next week this coming Sunday, this is everything. It's Cowboys-Eagles. It's at Philadelphia. The Cowboys have to play as even harder than they did against the Rams.
This is the Cowboys season. This is their mini Super Bowl, because if they don't win this game, it's over for them. They're not going to the playoffs.
Looking at the future, yes, they are the better team than the Eagles, I believe, but they're going to be the 4 seed, and that 5 seed's probably going to be the Niners. Seahawks or Niners, and either team going in there might be a favorite. Yeah, they're probably going to be a favorite for that game.
In my opinion, on the other hand, the Cowboys' opponent, the Rams, I think their season's done.
They're done. They're 2 games behind with 2 left to play, and they need both the Vikings and the Niners to lose, or one of them. No, the Vikings have to lose out.
Well, they play the Niners this week.
Yeah,
they do. They're not going to catch the Vikings.
No.
They're not going to catch the Niners.
So they're out.
I think that this season is over. They need a miracle, basically. They need to beat the Niners, and they need the Seahawks to beat the Niners, and they need to win out, and they still need some help, I believe.
Yeah, they need the Vikings to lose both of their games. And obviously, we know that they have Monday Night Football coming up at home against the Packers, and then at home again against the Bears. Which, yes, the Vikings could theoretically lose both of those games, but the Niners, I just don't see them losing to the Rams this week.
Now, the Rams made the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah.
So who's to blame for this utter collapse of a repeat team? They're not going back to the playoffs. Mm-hmm. They were the best team in the NFC last year, bar none.
Yeah.
And I think people forget that because of the whole penalty with the Saints. And they forget that the Rams were better than this. They were right there with the Saints.
Yeah.
And is it Goff? Is it McVay? Is it Todd Gurley?
Well, the way their offense ran last year, they kind of needed like a perfect situation for them to do what they did last year in the regular season. And when you played the Patriots, one of the best defenses in the league last year, they really disrupted them and they really couldn't do anything. So this year they're getting a lot more pressure on Goff. So Goff, one, hasn't been good on the road. So he's killed them on the road. 2, he's been getting pressured a lot more than he was last year. So that's really why there's been a downtick in that offense. And the defense has, I mean, they've been good, but they haven't won that many games.
Oh, yeah. So. Personally, I really think it's the Todd Gurley health situation, because Goff has always been a kind of a game manager, and he doesn't really have to make that many plays for them to win the game. But when Todd Gurley's not at 100%, we've seen the Rams over and over again, especially this season, where they just can't put up the points. And especially on the road, like you were saying, you got to bet against them every time. They're terrible on the road.
When you're not an overwhelmingly great team, you need a quarterback that can kind of push you over the edge on a tough road game. He's just not the kind of quarterback that's going to do that. So,
moving on to another team also in that division, you have the Rams' opponent this weekend, the 49ers. We're coming off a loss at home to the Falcons.
Weird game.
Honestly, none of us predicted. We've been called out on that
we have
on social media.
That's a hard game to predict, though.
I don't think
it is.
Anybody picked the Falcons to even come close in that game.
It was cool to see like that last 10 seconds of that game. How like you thought Hooper caught the ball and then you didn't know if Julio got in. Like it was so exhilarating. It was a great game and good for the Falcons. They're fighting hard coming down the stretch.
The question I have about the 49ers from that game is, did they get exposed this weekend by a worse team? Is this a blueprint that contenders can use against the 49ers in the playoffs?
Well, the 49ers aren't really at full strength right now. Their defense has been pretty banged up. There was a lot of pressure on Jimmy G in this game. So, I mean, they have to clean some things up going to the playoffs, or this could be like their exposure game where if they look like this in the playoffs, they're going to get killed.
I don't think that porn star Jimmy Garoppolo, can lead the 49ers to a Super Bowl victory.
I really don't think he's a real quarterback. I mean, when you look at him and you look at his history, to me, I think he's more of a backup. I really don't see him as a starting quarterback in this league. And to be honest, I really do think his flaws are showing now more than ever.
As a bold statement.
That is a very bold statement.
You don't think he's a starter in the NFL?
I don't think he's a starter in the NFL.
I do believe, though, he's really had great teams that he's been on. That's why his record has always been so good. Last year, if he he tore his ACL, right?
He was 1-1 when he tore his ACL.
If he doesn't tear his ACL, I think there is a big difference in his record coming up this year.
So
where he would, I don't even know if they would have went 500.
So you think last year he would have had a rough year?
Yes, I do. Yeah, 100%. And this year, the 49ers have made. I mean, they were the second pick.
They had the second pick.
They did make great off-season signings. Bosa's been electric. I mean, their whole team
also have one of the best head coaches in the league.
Oh, Shanahan.
And arguably the best running game.
Yes,
besides the Ravens.
Game, great offensive line. The one problem that they had was wide receivers, and they went out and got Emmanuel Sanders.
Great trade.
Career rebirth for Emmanuel Sanders. And I just don't see him as that quarterback that can lead them to the promised land. He hasn't proved it to me. Yeah. And in the big games, aside from the Arizona Cardinals, he disappeared.
The Saints game, he looks really good.
The Saints game, George Kittle saved him.
He saved him, but that's probably the best Jimmy's.
That was definitely his best game. I'll give him credit for that one game. The Seahawks game, he looked like a joke.
Yeah.
He looked terrible.
Even that Ravens game, I know it was in the rain and everything, but he didn't make a play to win that game. Like I was saying with Goff, he's another game manager that's extremely high overpaid, right? Like look at those two contracts.
But I mean, even those kind of quarterbacks, it's hard to find a Jared Goff, Jimmy G. How many quarterbacks are drafted in the top 10 that don't even reach that ceiling?
But coming into the playoffs this year, do you see Garoppolo making the plays down the stretch for them to win a road game?
I think he can. I think his defense and running game needs to make a lot of plays for him, but I think he could. But I mean, he's not the most talented in the world. So, I mean, the rest of his team has to kind of pick him up.
Oh, yeah.
I can't see Jimmy Garoppolo leading a team to the NFC Championship, let alone the Super Bowl. Jimmy Garoppolo is overmatched by Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
He's overmatched by Russell Wilson.
Yep.
He'll be overmatched in almost every game he goes in. I would take Dak Prescott over Jimmy Garoppolo, honestly.
Dak Prescott. Kirk Cousins?
I agree.
Yes. Kirk Cousins?
Yes, I'm taking Kirk Cousins.
You wouldn't even think he's a starter in the league.
I don't even think he's a starter in the league.
But I think Kirk Cousins is more worth the contract he got than Jimmy Garoppolo.
Well, Jimmy Garoppolo, won 5 games for them and they gave him $100 million?
I think he had 10 games started in the NFL, but he won them with the Patriots.
The Patriots
They were undefeated with Jacoby Brissett.
Jimmy Garoppolo,
I could have been a quarterback on that Patriots team. We would have won.
You're not wrong.
I don't know about that. maybe
if you've seen Pablo Hernandez QB camp, you might differ on that opinion.
We might leave that link down below, but it's not a pretty.
It'll be in the bio. But I agree about Jimmy Garoppolo. I think he has fallen into a lucky situation with his coaching in his career. He's been coached by Bill Belichick, Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels, and Kyle Shanahan.
Oh, yeah.
2 of the best offensive minds in the whole NFL. And he was a developmental quarterback coming into the league. And I liked him as a prospect, but I don't think he's this all-world quarterback. And I think he'll have to be a game manager to get him to the Super Bowl, and I don't think he can do it.
Yeah, I do agree. And like you were saying, that 49ers defense has been great all year, except minus that Saints game, I guess you could say. So, yeah, if he rides the coattails of that defense, there's a possibility. But if they're the 5 seed, they're going to have to play either the Cowboys or Eagles on the road, and then they have 2 more away games. So is Jimmy G that type of guy to win you 3 road games in a row?
And I don't think so.
I don't think. Yeah, maybe not 3 road games in a row, but I can see Jimmy G winning in Dallas.
My hot take:
his team, they wouldn't really need a great quarterback to win in
Jimmy
Dallas.
G goes to Dallas. He's going home the next weekend because he's not playing in divisional round because Dallas would beat the 49ers.
Wow,
I am putting that on the line.
I agree with Steve there. I really do.
Dallas would beat the 49ers in the playoffs.
If they played
Cowboys
like
won one game and now we all get ahead of ourselves.
The Cowboys have had that potential all year. I just think Jimmy G played all year. And I think that the Rams are going to give the 49ers game this weekend. And we'll get more into that later in the pick segment.
Yeah.
But let's get into another team in the NFC West. Let's stick in that division.
Yeah.
The Cardinals faced off against the Browns in one of the more interesting games this week. It was
Sooner Bowl.
The Sooner Bowl, Heisman Bowl, whatever you want to call it. And they killed them. It was never a game.
Yeah, someone on this podcast declared the Browns a dead team, and
wasn't
too far off.
Let's not toot our own horn over here. I know somebody in this podcast. We got to my right, I got somebody who loves Baker Mayfield.
And
to
Kyler
my left,
Murray.
I got somebody who hates Baker Mayfield.
And Kyler Murray.
And he hates Kyler Murray. I didn't realize that. So, who has a brighter future of the Sooner quarterbacks in those games? Kyler Murray or Baker Mayfield? Let's put Dan on the spot right here.
Like picking one of your two childs.
Yeah, that literally is picking one of my two childs. Pure athleticism. You look at Kyler Murray, and he could do a lot of things that Baker can't. For these next couple of years, I think they're both going to have, it's going to be hard for both of them. I mean, the Browns roster, looking on paper, great team. So in the short run, you got to go with Baker. But over time, I think Kyler's athleticism and the Cardinals are going to keep getting these great draft picks, build that team up. I got to go with Kyler, sadly, but I love both of them. We'll see.
I also think that the Cardinals' offensive system looks way better than the Browns' offensive system.
Yeah, it's that more air raid system that they run in college that Kyler's been benefiting.
I'm a big Cliff Kingsbury fan, Texas A&M, Texas Tech, and I think he's going to be a big help for Kyler. And I think they're building something special in Arizona. I hope Larry Fitzgerald's around to see it, though, because that's going to be sad if he retires. But if you look at the other wide receivers on the other side, it looks like they don't want to be in Cleveland.
Well, yeah. I mean, you saw the comments, what was it, today?
Well,
I think it was today. If
you go back to last week, there's been reports that Odell's not happy in Cleveland.
Yep.
And then
is that a surprise, Steve?
I'm dealing with him for a couple years is not a surprise.
This guy is a cancer in the locker room. A cancer to have on your roster. This guy is just somebody you just don't want in and around your organization. And to be honest, any team he goes and he plays for that's not at a high level, he's going to blame it on the team and not blame it on himself and not blame it on the fact that he is not a team player.
Do you think that he'll be playing on the Cleveland Browns next year?
No.
What team do you think should take a chance on him, if any?
Well, Steve, in my opinion, I think there are too many teams that would pass up on a guy like Odell Beckham Jr., regardless of the tremendous talent that he has. But
is that because of his locker room?
It is.
As people say, he's a locker room cancer.
It is.
So.
He is a locker room cancer. You want to have a good player. You want to have somebody who is effective. But at the same time, you don't want his negative attitude, his negative aura, kind of bring the team down. So I really don't know who would bring him back. I think the Giants getting rid of him was an amazing thing for the franchise.
Now, a lot of Giants fans would disagree with you. Personally, I was heartbroken when Odell Beckham Jr. left the Giants.
Yeah.
That was my least favorite move Dave Gettleman made, and I still think
if you could have him back, you'd take him back.
I would take him back, but I don't think there was a winner to that trade.
I
don't think anybody won that trade.
Not
yet.
And
maybe if Dexter Lawrence and O'Shane Jimenez ends up being like great, Zietler has been all right, but it hasn't changed your franchise in the way that you think.
Yeah, you can't judge that yet. And another thing interesting with that game, you saw Jarvis Landry apparently yelling at the Cardinals sideline, "Come get me." What was that all about?
Well, I think that's crazy because Landry, he just re-signed there last offseason, and he has his best friend there now.
Yeah.
I get that you don't like the coaching staff, but you think you'd suck it up a little bit. Like, I really don't understand what's going through these guys' minds.
There's a lot worse situations to be in the NFL. Especially, you get paid a lot of money. You get traded there. They traded for you. They offered you this big contract extension. They traded for your best friend. They're not a terrible team. They're not a good team, but there's worse teams to be on. There's players on the Dolphins who aren't acting up like this.
And there's players on the Dolphins who aren't playing with their childhood best friend there. Yeah. They're playing with guys they hated and stuff.
You want to know what? When you're a team like the Browns and you're not, 10-2, 11-1, you can't say things like "come get us" or "come get me." You can't be the Brody Van Wagenen. That's something that we'll get into the show. We'll talk about the Mets more later on in the show, but That's something you don't say when you're not at the top of your game. And that's something that not only makes you look bad, it makes your whole team
Well, they're
look
not
bad.
saying, come get me, like, come get me, we're better than you. They're
No,
saying, like, come get me, trade for me.
for
I don't
us.
want to
Yeah.
be here.
Yeah.
I hate it here. Come get me. Save me.
Well, again, you can't say. I don't think it's right to say that because you're showing up your whole team. That's something. If you really feel that way, that's something for the offseason. That's not something you show on the field. That's not something you let the camera see, and that's not something that we should even know about.
That's something you let your agent handle with the general manager, and it's not something you go on an NFL field Sunday when you're out there with your brothers supposed to be fighting for the win. You're not going over to Larry Fitzgerald and saying, yo, tell Steve Kine to come and trade
They're
for
still
me
in the
in the
playoff
offseason.
fight too.
Yeah, they're right there, and they blew it this weekend.
And then going back to that OBJ video that came out today, where he was pretty much just laughing out all these rumors, saying this is completely false. I didn't buy a house to sell it.
Yeah, and I think that was a little bit of a dig at Dave.
Yes,
Gettleman.
that was a
We've
little
heard
bit of
this-
it.
We've heard this one before.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he might not sell it, but he might rent it out. He might
Yeah,
Airbnb it.
never
So
know.
who knows?
And then he was saying with Jarvis, he was just laughing it off, saying this is not even a story. Like this, we're gonna figure this thing out. Which from a Browns perspective, you love to hear that your star wide receiver is saying we're gonna figure this out. You know, it's gonna take a long time because of the amount of egos, the amount of great players on paper that you have. Is Freddie Kitchens the guy for it? I don't think so, but we'll find out.
Well, speaking
what
of
John
Freddie
Dorsey does.
Kitchens, the Browns have given him a vote of confidence.
Yes.
And said that they want to have him back next year.
I
And
heard
I
there
think-
was disagreement with John Dorsey and then the Browns ownership.
Oh, Haslam?
The Haslam family. Yeah.
I think that if Kitchens is brought back next year, it's a bad mistake. I don't think he's a good head coach. I don't think he's cut out for it. This guy went from running back coach 2 years ago with the Cardinals, a nobody, to a head coach of a National Football League team because you were best friends with Baker Mayfield. Are you kidding me?
Oh, yeah.
This guy was not qualified. He cannot lead a team. He reminds me of Pat Shurmur / Ben McAdoo.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to go
Just
if the
not a
Browns
leader.
want to move on to their next phase of their team. If they want to get
Yep.
to the tier of the NFL they're trying to get to, Freddie Kitchens cannot take them there.
And the last thing I'll say about this topic is the Browns, obviously, I don't think Freddie's the guy. They got to get rid of him. And with a coach like Ron Rivera on the market, how can you not give him a look? He's been proven to be a great leader. I mean, Cam Newton, one of the biggest personalities, and he won an MVP, went to the Super Bowl. So I really think that's the guy you got to be looking at.
I think Ron Rivera is a top 10 coach in this league.
Yep.
I hope the Giants take a hard look at him. I hope Dave Gettleman's not the one to do it,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that the Giants would be hard pressed not to. I
That
think,
a rule, yeah.
yeah, rule too. I think these are guys who come in, they change the culture. That's what Dave Gettleman talked about, the culture all the time. There is no winning culture in New York.
Nope.
There is a horrible culture in Cleveland, and there's been for a long time. They won a couple games last year, mostly because they ran. First off, they won a couple games and they got rid of the head coach that won a couple games. Not to say I liked Greg Williams, but I just don't see how you can't even give him a look.
Yeah.
And I think that the Browns just need a change, and I feel like you're saying that almost every offseason.
Yeah.
But it has to happen.
Well, if they were going to move on from Greg Williams, I get that, but
Don't
bumping-
hire somebody on his staff.
yes. And then with Freddie Kitchens, keep him at OC. I mean, like, he only proved in, 8 games that Baker was good? Like, he's not proven enough to be a head coach. He wouldn't move anywhere else. He'd keep that job.
And he wasn't getting any of the looks.
No, he was.
wasn't
No one else
getting-
was going to hire him.
There was
so.
no looks coming to Freddie Kitchens' way. I think it was. I love John Dorsey. I think what he did with the Kansas City Chiefs was awesome. The Browns roster looking amazing on paper, yes, but keeping Freddie was probably the worst move he's made.
And I also think there's a problem with Browns ownership with who they looked at to hire. If you remember, the runner-up for the Browns job was current Minnesota Vikings offensive coordinator Kevin Stefanski.
Yep.
Which would have
And
been
I
a better
like
hire.
him a lot, and I think he's going to be a hot commodity this offseason. But he wasn't a guy you give the keys of that
No,
car.
because even
no.
he last year didn't start as the
Yeah.
offensive
He was
coordinator.
a quarterback's coach going
Yep.
at the
Yep.
end of the year.
You can't
So-
rush these things. It's a lot different of a jump to go from coordinator to head coach in the league. So you can't just like, oh, he was productive as a coordinator, but Baker looked good under him, so let's hire him as a head coach. What can go wrong?
I would have kept Greg Williams at least for one more year because I think he earned that with the way they finished that year.
Yeah.
But I'm not in charge in Cleveland, and they won the preseason Super Bowl, but they'll be sitting at home this offseason.
Yeah.
So let's move on to another game that was pretty interesting, and this was on Thursday actually when Andrew's Jets took on the Baltimore Ravens. And I think that leads us right into one of our new segments for Before the Score.
Well, thanks, Steve. It's time for the Pablo Power Player of the Week. And this week, I have none other than Baltimore Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson had a fantastic game. Number one, he played the Jets. The Jets, they're not a very good team, but they're also not a team that's in the dumps. They're 5-8. They're 5-8 at the time they were playing. 15 for 23 in terms of passing, right? 212 yards, 5 touchdowns. Not only did he have 5 touchdowns, but he had 8 carries for 86 yards rushing. That is incredible. That is something like you were saying, Dan. He passed Michael Vick's all-time record, which is amazing. It's incredible. And you want to know something? This was my guy at the beginning of the season. I understand that Before the Score has only been around for a couple weeks, a couple episodes, but this was my guy at the beginning of the season when you said, who is your dark horse to be the best player in this whole entire NFL? This was my guy, and I do think that this guy he is only going to get better, and this is not even close to what he can be.
So Lamar Jackson wins his first award, winning Pablo Hernandez's first ever Pablo's Player of the Week.
Congratulations,
Pablo Power Player of the Week. Congrats, Lamar Jackson. You're a big star on Before the Score now.
That's my boy.
But will his second award be the NFL MVP?
I mean, no one's really going to care about that now.
now that we gave him this award, it's kind of like Pablo Power Player of the Week and then NFL MVP, a little bit under that. So I think that he's going to be the MVP. I think he's by far
at
the
this
front
point
runner.
It's pretty unanimous. I mean, Russell Wilson has cooled off a little bit. McCaffrey has cooled off a little bit.
I do love
Watson
Russell Wilson as well. He is one of my.
He's gonna finish second in MVP
He's one of my
voting.
guys.
I think Lamar, Russell.
I think Breeze would be up there if he didn't get hurt. But.
Yeah. Breeze he's had an amazing season.
Oh, he's had a fantastic season.
That's another big story from this weekend. How about Drew Brees breaking the touchdown record? Oh my God, Drew Brees, a 6-foot quarterback, broke a touchdown record.
Yeah.
Who would have thought that? Even like when I was growing up watching Drew Brees play, I knew he was good, but I never thought he'd be.
He never jumped off the page
as
this uber talented quarterback.
With these stats,
wait. What you just say?
He might finish his career as the greatest quarterback of all time.
Wow, no.
Drew Brees,
absolutely not.
Passing yard leader, passing touchdown leader. If he gets another Super Bowl on his resume,
how many Super Bowls? If he wins this year, per se, he has 1 Super Bowl win. He would have 2 Super Bowl wins. Just comparing,
he
him
won't
to
be
Brady,
the winningest, but
best quarterback. Like, are you talking like most athletic? Or are you talking about just stats?
Most handsome? Come on, Steve.
I don't think. I think if he wins one this year, I think you can put him third. That'd be reasonable.
You're not going to put above. Wait. You would have put.
Brady and Montana.
Yes, Brady and Montana.
So you have Breeze
you can't put Breeze over.
Not yet.
Yes, no.
Not yet.
Well,
Montana was a great quarterback.
I mean, you really count. How much do you really count Peyton's second Super Bowl?
Drew Brees could play for 5 more years.
They have very similar careers. I know. It depends. I mean, you can't say it now. I'm saying there's a good chance that he would finish above Peyton Manning in most people's rankings.
There's a good chance Drew Brees could get 600 touchdown passes to end his career.
Holy.
He's one of the greatest regular season quarterbacks of all time.
He could beat Peyton Manning's record by 100 touchdown passes.
We'll see about that. I mean,
I'm just saying.
That's why you play the game, Steve.
They're only signing him to 2. This is the final year of his 2-year contract.
And he's going to play next year.
Not going anywhere.
Well, yes, he's going to play next year, but I mean, he's 40 years old. What do you think?
I think Brees, in my opinion, and this is how the Saints quarterback situation will pan out. I think Brees is going to be there for at least another 2 to 3 more years. Teddy Bridgewater's not going to be there. He's gone.
This year.
He's not going to wait. I know he loves it in New Orleans.
He's going to start.
But that job's not opening up, and I think Taysom Hill will eventually take over that job.
You think Taysom Hill is taking over that job?
5 years?
You're out of your goddamn mind.
So.
You're out of your
Sean
mind.
Sean Payton loves
Taysom Hill is not starting at quarterback for an NFL team.
Taysom Hill, he's not that bad.
He ain't that good.
He might start.
He's a better fullback than he is.
I cannot
believe
he is
beloved.
Taysom Hill.
I think Taysom Hill, obviously, 3 years from now, I don't know who could be the number 1 quarterback in the draft. It might be Art Sikowski from Rutgers.
Yeah,
that was your one allowed bold statement of the podcast.
I'm going to say that.
After this.
I'm going to say right now, in 3 years, if we're still doing Before the Score.
All right, you want to know something? In 3 years, I don't even think that guy has a job. I don't think he's a backup on any team. That dude is a scrub. He's a waste. He's a nothing.
Taysom Hill?
He has more touchdowns than OBJ this year.
That's not saying anything. OBJ is a cancer to every team that he touches. The dude is another albatross.
Wow, that is strong words for Taysom Hill and OBJ.
Yes.
And I think that it's going to be an interesting thing to watch, but hey, we'll see. Taysom Hill, 3 years from now, come back to this video. And what else happened?
One thing I want to say is Pro Bowl voting came out.
Dan's going to be hot on this.
And this was absolutely ridiculous that Kirk Cousins was not named a Pro Bowler over Aaron Rodgers. I mean, come on. Look at the stats. Look at what Kirk Cousins has done this year compared to Aaron Rodgers. It's not even to me. Not even. All right, well, I'm talking about Pro Bowler this year. I'm not talking about overall talent. I'm talking about
Yes,
having
no,
the season. Look at the touchdown interception ratio. Yeah, it might be the same. Kurt has more yards. I think. I'll pull up the stats. You guys could talk about it, but I'll get.
Does anybody watch the Pro Bowl? Let's be honest.
The NFL Pro Bowl is the worst of the All-Star games, in my opinion. But Kirk Cousins did deserve to be there.
Yeah, I think he'll get in as an alternate.
He'll get in.
I mean,
because,
whoever. I'm sure there's one of the Pro Bowl quarterbacks in the NFC is going to make the Super Bowl.
Well, who you got? You got Breeze,
Breeze,
Rodgers, and who was the third
Wilson?
one?
Are you guys-
Wilson.
are you guys
I'm going to guess one of them is going to make the Super Bowl, and then Kirk would probably.
Well, Kirk's going to make the Super Bowl, so whatever. He'll just make
So
the
then what
All-Pro
matter
team.
anyway?
It's all right.
I don't know if I'll watch the Pro Bowl just because, well, first off, there's no goddamn Giants in the Pro Bowl.
Is it like baseball where they
Nope.
force someone in?
They
corny.
whoever goes in, and I think they got that right. The Giants didn't deserve to have a Pro Bowler.
I mean, Barkley, if he was healthy all year, would have made it.
Barkley's a fourth.
You couldn't put him
alternate.
in this year. There's
Fourth
too many good running
alternate.
backs.
Look at the Giants roster right now. There's not one guy.
Their best player right
There's
now,
Slayton.
Slayton. I was hoping maybe he stuck in.
Nah.
But
What about your boy Will
God,
Hernandez?
Will Hernandez having a horrible year.
Yeah.
Call up your boy.
He's a turnstile.
I actually, a dirty little secret. I DM'd Will Hernandez on Instagram before the season. I said, "Yo, Big Will, good luck this season." I was hoping to get a little message back, like, "Oh, thanks," because he's like one of my favorite players in the Giants.
He doesn't respect you, bro.
Big Will never responded.
Big Will.
And that's why you're having a
he
bad
had-
season, Will
that's why he's having a
Hernandez.
shitty season.
That's why he's having a bad season.
Yep.
He never messaged me back. He has regressed this year.
Yeah, I mean,
Just like
the
most of
only
the
only New
Giants.
York team with a Pro Bowl player is my New York Jets.
President
Jamal
Pablo,
Adams
but he
going to
doesn't
be an
wanna
All-Pro.
there.
He doesn't want.
We'll see about that.
But he
Hey.
did proclaim 2 years ago that he'll never miss another Pro Bowl, and he hasn't so far.
He
so.
got a lot of those stats padded when the Giants played him because what do you got? A fumble return for a touchdown.
strip sack, fumble return for a touchdown.
Now, let me kind of ask you guys this question: who is the best young player in New York? In New York sports,
Of all
New York
sports?
sports.
of all sports right now, New York.
Good question.
And I'm not including Buffalo Bills.
Wait, you want me to be biased or
I'll
honest?
go
No, being
first.
serious.
I'll go first, and I think Dan and Andrew are great. Pete Alonso.
Yeah, that's where I was going with.
Pete Alonso is the best young player in New York right now.
Would you consider him a young player or just?
Yes, he's just one
he's a
rookie of the
rookie.
year.
I understand.
People
I understand
gas
that.
how old he is. He's 24. Judge was a 24.
Judge was older when he came up.
Yeah, that's true. I think the best young player in New York is Gleyber Torres.
We talking potential
Baby
or
G.
right now?
Actually, happy birthday, Gleyber. He just turned 23.
Oh yeah.
I'll give you Gleyber Torres.
Gleyber
honestly.
Torres has a higher ceiling. I don't know if he had a better year on paper than Alonso did
No, I don't
last
think he
year,
had a
but I
better
think he's
year.
a better player.
I think he's a better
player.
I'd much rather have Gleyber
Are
Torres.
you talking best player right now that's young or the highest ceiling of any young player?
Two different conversations.
Yeah, it's two different conversations. I'm asking.
Who's the best young player in New York sports?
Oh,
right
okay.
now?
Yeah, I would have to agree with Steve. That would be Pete Alonso.
Well,
But if
Alonso's
you're talking-
at this point in his career is better than Gleyber Torres, but I mean, obviously, I think Torres is going to pass him within the near future. But
Torres,
So it's not
New
saying
York
much.
sports are lucky to have two young players like that and two competitive baseball teams. The
Yeah.
Mets and the Yankees are both.
it's
very
sad that the
competitive
Mets are
this
one
year.
of the better New York teams.
They're probably
It's
the second best.
very
They're
sad. The
the second best
Islanders.
It is sad.
Oh,
It is sad.
we're gonna count the
We're
Islanders.
gonna count the
now?
Islanders.
Oh my god,
Are they
Wow.
not a New York team?
they have been.
I know
amazing
everyone. I
this
know
year,
everyone
but-
shits
All
on
right,
hockey.
all right.
but
So who's the bottom of the bottom? It's the Knicks.
in New York.
It's the Knicks.
It's
and
the
then-
Knicks.
Right now, it's
Knicks
the
are
Knicks,
last.
Giants, and Jets.
Yeah.
Like in a three-way
Nah,
giant
Devils,
garbage
so
pile
the
of
Devils in
crap.
there.
Devils ain't New York.
Dame was
Yeah, it is, and that's what I was gonna
No.
say. Most potential-wise, Jack Hughes from the New Jersey
Devils.
Jack
Devils.
Hughes doesn't even have more potential than Capo Caco.
No,
What are you talking
no.
Capo
about?
Caco, that's my boy.
better.
That's my boy too.
That's my boy.
He has not had a good
Spell
year,
Capo
but he's
Caco.
good.
Okay, my plan B for dead club was the Devils. Okay,
All right,
so
not yet. They're
Let's
young.
not get into
they're,
that.
they're,
segment.
they're already dead.
All right.
All right.
Speaking of segments, I'll put my segment out there. This
Yeah,
is
go right ahead.
the Samra story of the week, and for the first ever rendition of this, I'm gonna go with a team very close to my heart. And the story of the week this week is the New York Knicks. The Knicks have been playing fantastic basketball since they got rid of head coach David Fizdale. A move I was much maligned to because I loved David Fizdale. I loved him as a coach and as a person, but the way he his rotations and what he did during the games, it just didn't seem to work. They get this guy Mike Miller, who, albeit I thought it was Mike Miller, the player
Yeah,
who
the
made
player.
the three with no shoe in the NBA Finals, former Miami Heat
Wait, it's
world
not him?
champion. No, it's not him. It's an
Uh-huh.
older Mike Miller.
I didn't know
Baldy,
that.
right?
Wasn't
Yeah.
he the G League coach for the Knicks?
Yes, he was on the G League staff. And apparently Mike Miller, the other one, is also a G League coach for the Knicks. So you can see my confusion.
Well,
But-
G League, D League, I don't even know what's going on.
But this
anymore.
man has come into Madison Square Garden, and he's just won. Last night, the Knicks scored the most points they ever have scored in a regular season game, which for the team they have out there right now is amazing.
Ever?
Ever.
Wow.
In the entire history of the New York Knicks, they've never scored more points than they did last
Well, I'm
night.
sure a lot of franchises are doing that now because they're scoring more than ever. But it's still with this Knicks roster, it's very impressive.
So that's my story. I think the Knicks have won 3 of their last 4. Adding on to that story, little tidbit. The Knicks won me some money Friday night against the Sacramento Kings.
Yeah.
How about that comeback?
Yes, they did.
We were in the bar Friday night, watching the Knicks game.
Drink responsibly, guys. Drink responsibly.
Down 11 at halftime.
Down 11 at halftime, down 16 at one point. Fourth quarter comeback. Knicks win against the Kings, a team that blew them out by 40 at the Garden under Fizdale.
Wow.
So the Knicks, you're my story of the week. Don't blow it. Don't blow it. Chase the playoffs. Go on a run.
Question about that. How do you feel about the David Blatt hiring?
I actually like that hiring as a consultant.
Yeah,
if he was on the coaching staff, I would not like the hiring.
Yeah.
Because I think you let Mike Miller ride out this year.
Yeah.
So
well, 100%.
He's already earned it.
Yeah.
The guy has almost as many wins as Fizdale had all year.
Oh, wow.
Fizdale is he has the worst record in New York.
He went, 420?
But that was your boy, though.
This year he was 4.
This year.
I like the hire a lot. And that's why it pained me so much to see him get fired.
Goodbye, Fizzy
But
Pop.
honestly, he was just terrible. Like, I can't even defend him anymore. He was a great. I think they really signed him because the players liked him.
Yeah, and it didn't seem like they wanted to play for him.
No, they didn't. This guy Mike Miller comes out of nowhere and boom, what the hell?
Unbelievable.
But hey, the Knicks, I like our young core, and I'm glad Mike Miller will be able to develop them because R.J. Barrett should be a superstar. Yeah. Dennis Smith Jr. needs to be developed. I see there's trade rumors. Knicks, if anybody in the Knicks organization hears this, do not trade Dennis Smith Jr. That is
Marcus
my boy.
Morris.
Marcus Morris, you can trade him. He's a 1-year deal.
The heart and soul of the Knicks right now.
I do like Marcus Morris though. He's a bad man, as Stephen A. Smith would say. He doesn't care. But I think the Knicks are on the right track finally, and I think that this season if you can get some fun wins in there, maybe you can still compete for an 8th seed.
They have to build a small club team.
8th seed?
How
many wins do you think they're gonna?
They're only 6 games out right now, and they've won 3 of their last 4.
Oh man,
the Magic are the 8th seed.
Yeah, I know. The East is very. You know how the East goes. Yeah. It's very winnable to get to the 8th seed. But, I mean, that Knicks team, I don't like that roster going forward.
It is a tough roster.
Down the stretch.
How many point guards do they have, Steve?
They have a lot of point guards. And then also in basketball, you have the Milwaukee Bucks, and it seems like they can't lose, but they lost against the Mavericks. They ended that streak.
Well, yeah, Porzingis played really well in that game without Luka for the first game since his injury. So
and that was shocking to see the Mavericks beat them. I never would have guessed the Mavericks would have won that game.
Yeah, you haven't seen that game this year where Porzingis has been like, all right, yeah, he got injured last year. You know how Gordon Hayward, that injury took him so long to get back to where he was going. But this is that first game where we're like, wow, Porzingis, he might be coming back onto the scene here. Yeah. And he has to prove himself since Luka's going to be out for these next 3 to 4 weeks, I think they were saying. He's got to prove himself down the stretch.
And Porzingis made those 2 clutch threes with the way back.
Oh, my God. One was from downtown. My God.
So I'm still a little partial to Porzingis. I hate the way he left the Knicks. I don't know the whole story because I wasn't there, obviously. And he says there's more to the story, but it's just going to be one of those all-time what-ifs with Porzingis and the Knicks.
Why is it every time I think of Porzingis, it's just that video of him getting his ass kicked and where was it? Like in Europe
Latvia.
Latvia? Yeah, he's just all bloody and everything.
It's
How
crazy.
Does that guy get his ass kicked?
At this time last year, every single person loved Porzingis.
I know.
And now even the people in his own country are kicking his ass.
I know. You went villain.
So
turned heel, right?
Turned heel.
Either die a hero. Yeah, so let's move on to I think that's all we got for our A block, the lead, the beginning segment. Those are our big news stories.
Yeah.
So let's get right into some baseball. So let's talk some baseball. What do you got, Pablo, for baseball?
Well, for baseball, all right. So we have many topics to go over, of course. Number one, I know you guys, as Met fans, you probably aren't excited as much as I am. But Garrett Cole, he was a Yankee, then, now, forever, and he always will be a Yankee. He's going to be a New York Yankee for the next 9 years. He's going to die a New York Yankee. And to be honest,
I hope he doesn't die as a New York Yankee.
Yeah, I hope he doesn't die as a New York Yankee either. But I love the signing for the Yankees. And what do you guys think? What do you guys think about New York sports in general? New York baseball sports.
New York baseball in general, I think, is in a very good spot.
Yes.
And I think the Yankees are in a great spot now with the Garrett Cole. And the Mets are kind of in that they're wallowing a little bit, but I think they'll go up. I think that they're going to make some trades, some moves to ensure that bullpen looks better. Another thing that came out today was that Betances is looking at, $11.5 million?
Mm-hmm.
And the Phillies are interested.
Well, he's getting 1 year offers.
Yeah, I think that's
1 year.
smart.
That's because he's coming off injury. If he
that's
was
like a
healthy,
proven
he would
deal.
get a much
Now,
better contract.
guys, you remember last week when I said that Blake Trinan got $10 million to go pitch for the Dodgers, and I said that Betances would get $10 million, if not more, at least 11.
Mm-hmm.
This is just exactly what I said. That wasn't a hot take. That was just something that I knew. That's something I knew, that would take to land Dellin Betances. This guy is super talented. I really do think teams like the Yankees, especially, they're very concerned about his shoulder. I mean, when he came back, and we were just expecting Dellin Betances to be this monster, this dude that you add to the back end of that already dominant bullpen, and we were just expecting something more, something that was going to really carry that team and just give a little bit.
That.
Yeah, kind of like take some more pressure off the starting rotation. But you know what? He got the 2 batters out. He looked phenomenal, and he tore his Achilles.
Yeah,
and now
you can't
really fault him for that. But this guy is 6'8".
He's huge.
He's huge.
He's
larger than
intimidating.
Judge, right?
Judge is 6'7".
6'7".
Now, in terms of an Achilles injury, I'm not sure how that would affect a guy like Dellin Betances, who's 6'8". I'm really not sure. Maybe that's a reason why teams don't want to pay him $10 million.
Well, I mean, I don't think the Achilles would be that much of an issue considering he's a pitcher. I mean, obviously, it's not. You don't want it. Obviously, that's why he's not getting multiple year offers. But I mean, I'd be more concerned with an arm injury than Achilles injury for a pitcher.
My thing with Betances is the Mets cannot lose him to the Phillies. They have lost two possible players, player and a manager, to the Phillies. The Phillies have gotten Gregorius, who was also on the Mets' radar. You cannot lose Betances to the Phillies.
Who the hell are the
There is
Phillies?
going to be such an outrage if Betances goes to the Phillies.
That would be disastrous.
Do you mean the Philadelphia Yankees? Because they're just stacking up on Yankees.
right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Wasn't McCutchen? Wasn't there? Mets fans were calling for McCutchen.
Mets
last
fans
year,
were calling
too?
for McCutchen.
No,
but that was on the table.
Yeah.
Well,
so
they gave him
it's
3
definitely
years,
on the table.
$60 million. As a Met fan, as a Yankee fan, I would be super excited that my team didn't go and sign him to that deal.
The Phillies are spending stupid money. Their owner said they're going to spend stupid money.
It's insane.
But they're spending stupid money in smart ways. And I think that the Phillies are going to be a lot better this year.
Hasn't been that smart so far.
I think they're making some good moves, though. You had to get a superstar in there.
Yeah.
They got Harper, and that was the price you're going to pay for Harper.
Mm-hmm.
And you knew that. Everybody knew that. He was going to get that much money. And I think that the Phillies are going to be a lot better next year than they were last year.
They're a similar roster to the Mets. I mean, they need to fix that bullpen. I mean, their rotation wasn't great last year, but they could still bank on Nola. So,
well, if you look at a team like the Mets and you look at a team like the Phillies, I think number one, I think the Mets have a better rotation, a deeper rotation, not the best rotation, in the National League, but I do think the Phillies just overall have a much better team, a super deep lineup. Their lineup is loaded with guys like Bryce Harper and guys like JT Realmuto, and you have Didi in the middle of that order now. Andrew McCutchen, Gene Segura, Rhys Hoskins. That team is going to be really good offensively, but that bullpen is super weak. I couldn't even tell you off the top of my head who their closer was. Now I can't
either.
I'm
thinking about it.
I can't. Hector Neris or Anthony
it is
Dominguez.
Neris.
I can't even tell you.
And he's not like he's some great closer either. He was a setup man for God knows how long, and now he's not doing too great.
Yeah, so
he's got potential, but he's not.
I'm very fearful as a Yankee fan. I do think that Dellin Betances ends up with the Phillies,
and that would be one of the worst case scenarios.
Well, what are the Mets doing? They're just sitting on their hands and just signing these reject pitchers.
Well,
let me stop by saying that Michael Wacha, he's a reject. Rick Porcello, I obviously don't like the guy, but that's a super awesome low key deal. $10 million is a steal for a guy like Rick Porcello.
I mean, yeah, for a guy who's won a Cy Young, I mean, I know he's had some rough years in the past, but I mean,
he's
for
a
guy who's
Jersey
won a
kid.
Cy Young as their 5th starter for a 1-year deal,
That's a good deal.
You really
That's
can't
a
be
good
that
deal.
upset.
I think he's the 4 starter. Walker's the 5th starter. Matt's going to the bullpen.
Yeah, I mean, they need another lefty in the bullpen.
And it's gonna be Matt.
I don't even think Wacha makes the rotation.
No, Walker's they're paying him $10 million.
He said that he signed on to be a starter.
He's gonna be.
I think him and Matt's are gonna be. They're gonna get starts. I think they're both gonna get starts. I don't think Wacha was.
I think it's time to trade away Matt.
I was just about to say.
What are you gonna get from Matt? He hasn't done
you need
anything.
depth as a starting pitcher. The Mets.
This is a good problem to have.
Yeah.
I mean, I never want to see Walker Lockett start another game for the Mets again.
No.
So this is a good problem to have. They just need to address that bullpen.
No
I'll be
Walker
very happy
Lockett,
with this offseason.
no Rafael Montero, no reject starting pitcher.
You want to know what?
getting
I
going.
think obviously
Chris Flexen.
Jacob DeGrom. He's your number one. He's your ace. He's a top 3, maybe
Top one.
Top one.
maybe
He's number
he's a top 2 pitcher in all of baseball.
He's not maybe. He's number 1.
All right, top 2,
Number
maybe
2
2.
is Garrett Cole.
Okay. So anyway, I do think the Mets rotation. You have Garrett Cole. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
you don't have Garrett Cole. That's the Yankees.
Wait, since when? We got Garrett Cole.
I wish. And
Breaking news.
Wait. The Mets rotation with Garrett Cole, it wouldn't start that way. It'd start DeGrom, then Cole.
Stop. We were talking about greatest New York pitchers, and I got sidetracked. Anyway, Okay, so you have Jacob DeGrom, right? He's up here. You have Noah Syndergaard. He's all the way down here. And then underneath him, you have guys. So Noah Syndergaard, I'd say he has number one stuff, but he pitches more like a 2 or 3. Actually, to be honest, he pitches more like a 3. And then you have Marcus Stroman, who's really a number 3. Rick Porcello, who could be a number 2, pitches like a number 3. Michael Wacha, who really is a number 5. Yeah. Steven Matz really is a number 5. So that rotation is very, you have a lot of depth. But really, those guys, they have super underperformed.
Well, you have to hope that you get a good season at Porcello. You hope Wacha has a little bit of a rebirth. And you hope that Stroman and Syndergaard have better years than they had last year. And so I like Stroman. I love that trade when it came out. I don't think he'll be a Met next year. I think this is 1 year to prove it. I hope the Mets can re-sign him, but I think they're more likely to sign Syndergaard.
How much longer do they have Syndergaard for?
They have to re-sign Stroman and Syndergaard next
year. Okay. Next year they're not going to have Stroman or Syndergaard. I don't think they go after any of those pitchers. I'm not sure they even can afford any of those pitchers.
Well, maybe. Well, now with technically 6 starters, you could trade Stroman or Syndergaard at the trade deadline.
I'm trading both of them, Steve.
It depends how they do it. If they're 10 games under 500 at the deadline, I think Syndergaard gets moved.
See, honestly. But this is their problem. They've had this problem with David Wright. They had this problem with Jose Reyes.
They like to keep their homegrown talent.
Yeah, but
you can't blame them for that.
I understand that, but you always think there's a chance you can sign this player, but for the most part, you're not going to be able to keep everybody. And I do think Syndergaard, while his potential is through the roof, this guy has been underwhelming throughout his whole tenure with the Mets. I think if he's really good, you kind of you sell high on him and you get rid of this guy, because I don't think after the 2020 season he pitches for the New York Mets.
So if you're going to trade Syndergaard, obviously you're going to want huge return on that since it's our second best pitcher. What's a guy that the Mets should look at maybe at that trade deadline?
Okay,
for Noah
so
Syndergaard?
When you trade a Noah Syndergaard, don't go after a guy like Mookie Betts. I'm talking about in this offseason. You have to look at good young talent. I'm talking about, good young prospects that are ready to make an impact. Maybe a few good starters, or a few good young pitchers. Maybe a middle infielder, maybe an outfielder, something like that. I'm not really sure a package that would be able to get it done, but I do think Noah Syndergaard at the trade deadline, that's somebody I think you have to move as a Met fan.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, if the Mets are struggling at the deadline and Syndergaard's having a pretty good year and there's a contender who needs a starter, they will overpay for him. They will give you, like the Yankees did with Chapman, they can give you a superstar prospect for him.
Well,
on that run.
Don't you guys feel bad that you didn't trade away Zach Wheeler? I mean, they really didn't even offer this guy. You could have got at least something for him. Pick. You could. Still, that's not the same.
They weren't going to get that much.
That's
for
not
him
the same.
At the deadline.
That's not the same. I'd rather trade for some talent than not knowing what you're going to get.
The Mets were 1 game on the wild card.
They said that they'll offer him the 1 year deal. If he declines it, they'll get the comp pick in.
Well, why didn't they resign him? He's better than Syndergaard.
Because they didn't want to give him the money that
he's better pitching than Syndergaard.
He hit the market. He hit the free market. He was going to get a lot. He got a lot of money this offseason.
He's better.
And he's a lot bolder.
He's a lot bolder.
He kind of looks like you.
All right.
Ooh, well.
Wow. Okay.
All right. Well, speaking about the Mets, let's get into it. We got a question about the Mets.
Oh, okay.
So we have a question from Justin Nunez. Thank you for DMing us on Instagram for this question. And it has to do with the Mets and Steve Cohen. So he asked, will Cohen taking 51% of the ownership in the Mets finally make a difference in spending money in the near future?
So I'll start with that. So obviously the plan is a 5-year plan where the Wilpons are going to still be CEO, COO, or COO or whatever. So they're going to have control over what the Mets are going to do for these next 5 years. And it could go the either of two ways in these next 5 years, sorry. It could go to where the Wilpons are like, all right, let's save face. Let's try to win it all. It's not really our money we're spending. It's not our future. Let's just go out and win it and spend money. Or it could just be like, let's just, just have this job for the next 5 years, do what we've been doing and just get out, which I see that more likely than spending all the money. And then once that 5-year deadline comes, the MLB owners have to vote on him if they even want him as an owner. And judging from his prior history, I mean, the vote from the owners could be no. So I don't know what in a 5-year period what's going to happen with Cohen.
I think he will get approved by the owners. There's already been rumblings that he will be approved.
Okay.
And I think that the Wilpons, they're not in charge. They have no control right now. Well, there's no way, in my opinion.
They do. It hasn't officially gone through yet. He doesn't have
if Steve Cohen is in there spending his money on this team, he's not letting these two cheap sons of bitches spend his money.
No, of
course. I wouldn't either. There's no way that what is he, top 20 richest guy in the whole world?
Yeah. He would be the
Oh my
richest
God.
owner in baseball.
He'd be the richest owner in baseball, and I think the 5th richest owner in all of sports.
Wow.
Well, Steve, I'm going to cut you off right there. You know, I do think being a new owner of a team comes with having kind of like your own management. And I think this guy is going to want a new GM. He's going to want a whole, I'm not sure, maybe not a manager because Beltran just started.
I think he likes Belt. He also is a Mets fan.
Yeah.
That is a big thing that I think people overlook. He's not just this businessman who's going into MLB for the business aspect of it. He tried to buy the Dodgers.
Yeah.
And although it is Dodgers, he wouldn't have had the same stake as it'd be like me buying the New York Giants. I'd be like, take all my money, go be good, win a Super Bowl. It'll make me the happiest of anything. I think that he's going to spend money, and I think that him being a Mets fan is a huge part of this. And that's why I think
it does help that he is a businessman, though. Like, I know you're saying he's not real, but he is a businessman. He wants to make money. And how do you make money? You win. You win. Bottom line, your revenue is going to go up, your merchandise, game tickets, everything's going to go up. So by the Mets being good, winning, why not spend the money? He's, like you said, richest owner. I think it could be really good, hopefully. I mean, I'm a Mets fan, you know. That these last 15 years, like I've
never seen the Mets ever win a world title.
Yes, I never obviously,
close.
But I've never seen them sign a giant superstar. Yoenis Cespedes was the biggest superstar, you know. So whatever.
I think that you see the way when new ownership comes in, everything spikes. They spend money, the wins spike, everybody shows out. It happened with the Dodgers. The Dodgers have won the NL West 5 years in a row.
For nothing.
Yeah, but they've still won it. They've still gotten close, and they're still going to be competitive. They're still probably the best team in the NL West.
They're the National League Yankees.
Yeah, and then you have in the NBA, you have the LA Clippers. Look at them. They're just got Kawhi Leonard. They just got Paul George. They've been a perennial playoff team since they got rid of Donald Sterling. Yep. So when there's new ownership, they come in and they're like, we have to endear ourselves to this crowd. And
it sparks an organization.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that the Mets aren't that far away. They just need some money.
They just need someone. They need money, and they need to spend that money.
Look,
right.
I agree with everything you guys are saying, but I'll just believe it when I see it. As a Met fan, I don't have. I have a lot of doubts.
So what's a move? You're like, whoa, like things are changing.
Betts.
Yeah,
Mookie Betts won.
You can't do it this year.
Yeah, as a free agent.
All right, good.
I think next year as a free agent.
Well, they don't have the new owner's money because he's not technically the new owner yet. I mean, once it officially goes through, I mean, all the reports are this guy that he wants to win. He's willing to pay whatever it takes to win. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if you get a guy like that, and I mean, the Wilpons, so once this deal goes through, he'll have majority ownership. So he'll be making decisions. The Wilpons will keep their titles in quotations. So, I mean, they'll be the face of the franchise, but they won't be really making the big decisions. So, if he has that money in there, he will make the big transactions.
I'm telling you, they won't be
going after the top free agent.
I don't know. They still have the position, so they're going to have a say. I know Cohen's going to be like, it's my money. I want to spend it the way I want. But
they'll be working for him.
Knowing the Wilpons, they're going to screw us again somehow, some way.
Okay, probably, you take over. Honestly. You take over a business that it's all right, but it could be so much better. And you have the boss there, and now you have all the control. You keep them there because you want to save face and you want to have a little bit of a scapegoat. That's what I think the Wilpons are.
And I mean, and the Wilpons wouldn't agree to just get kicked out of the door in a year.
Exactly. So you keep them there. If they win, okay, fine. It's still my money. I spent the money and I'm the savior. If they lose, it's the Wilpons' fault. They're still there. So this guy's a win-win situation. Yeah. He's a businessman. He knows what he's doing. Yep. And I think that the Mets have needed that for years. Yep. They've needed somebody to come in, just kick the Wilpons out and.
Probably
they're not
one of the worst,
out, but still, you know what I mean.
It's probably the worst ownership group in maybe even professional sports. Yep. The Wilpons have perennial been terrible owners.
I think it's
everyone
up there.
has been calling
the other competitor was also in New York.
Let me raise a question. Who would you rather have as your owner, James Dolan or the Wilpons?
Oh man,
I would pick James Dolan.
I would pick.
Really? He spends money
with the Rangers.
Look at James Dolan with the Rangers.
He spends money.
And even with the Knicks, he's willing to spend the money.
Yeah.
He wants
to
spend the money.
Good at it.
No one just wants to go with him.
I don't think James Dolan is
I think he's more toxic than the Wilpons is. The Wilpons are just cheap, man.
They're just cheap, yeah.
If James Dolan owned the Mets would have a World Series. More World Series than they have right now. I guarantee that.
I guarantee that. The Wilpons, they spent money with Minaya, but then they get the whole Madoff scandal, and they haven't spent money since.
Because they have no money.
Because they don't have money.
They're broke.
That's the worst thing Barry Madoff ever did was getting in contact with the Wilpons.
Barry Madoff? I've never heard of that.
That might be his brother.
Sorry, Bernie Madoff. Sorry.
Bernie Madoff with a lot.
Now, does the Mets getting this influx of cash and this new owner, and they will have more money than the Yankees when this goes through? Does that scare a Yankee fan like you? That the Mets have the ability now to compete with the Yankees like that.
I don't think it scares Yankee fans, to be honest. I think it's makes things exciting. You know?
I think so too. That's my.
I don't think
thought
the Mets,
process on it.
not maybe never, but at least in the near future, are ever going to be the Yankees. So I do think when a player is a free agent, they want to play for the New York Yankees. They want to be at that high stage. Right now, the Mets just aren't it.
All right. Well, let's get some final predictions for MLB free agency and trade real quick. Give me a bold prediction. By this time next week, this will be done in the MLB.
Okay. By this time next week, I think that Josh Donaldson agrees to a contract with the Washington Nationals. He is going to replace Anthony Rendon. Obviously, it's lower talent, and he is a little bit older. But I do see something, maybe 4 years, around 18 to 20 million a year.
Well, you stole mine because I was going to choose that. Mm-hmm. But I think that Chris Bryant will be traded from the Cubs. And I think this will be a huge get for whoever gets him.
Who do you think gets him?
If I had to pick one team, I think if the Nationals don't get Josh Donaldson, I think they'll make a play for him. But I think that the Phillies are in play, and I hope the Phillies don't get him. I would love for the Mets to get him, maybe a Syndergaard.
They get everybody.
But I know. But I can't really put my finger on exactly who will get him, but I don't think it'll be a Cub next year.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to agree with Pablo on that. I really like Donaldson to the Nationals. They have a hole to fill, and that plug him in. Hopefully the contract's not that large for Nationals fans because judging from his injury history, you never know.
My bold prediction, I don't know if it'll be done by next week, but I say Lindor to the Dodgers.
Oh, I like that. Hey,
is Gavin Lux going to be traded for him?
Yeah.
Yeah, he has to be.
Gavin Lux isn't being traded.
Our prediction last year.
It's hard to get Lindor without giving up top tier prospect.
Exactly. I don't think they get Lindor. And I don't think they give up.
Dodgers get desperate sometimes.
Yep. Yeah. Have they been desperate this offseason? Because I don't think so.
Not desperate enough. There should be more. When you make a deep playoff.
I just think the Dodgers think the Dodgers are so much better than any other team in the National League that they really
okay. Then they can make the World Series and lose to the Yankees.
I know, but I'm not saying they shouldn't improve. I'm just saying they think that they're just so much better. They don't really have to pressure themselves to make a big move.
Well, our predictions last week, all three of us, not you, was Starling Marte at the Mets. That can still happen, but hey, the timing is a little off. But let's get right into our football segment, NFL picks. We're moving on to that. MLB, you're done for the rest of the day. We're going to the NFL, the big dog in the US of A. So what's our first game for this weekend?
So this week, obviously, no college football. So we start on Saturday, and it's going to be Texans-Bucks at 1 o'clock. Houston, 3-point favorites.
I like this game. I think it's going to be an exciting offensive game. Mm-hmm. Jameis Winston's coming off a huge game. But
back-to-back huge games.
Back-to-back. Yeah. He's been awesome. If you have him in fantasy, start him this week. I'm starting him over Patrick Mahomes.
Wow.
And I think that the Texans are going to win this game. I think they will cover as well. And it'll be an offensive shootout, but Jameis Winston ain't got any wide receivers. He's throwing to Brashad Perriman in the tight end. The Texans are going to win this game, and because they need the win more than the Buccaneers do.
Yeah, I completely agree. I was really pounding. I wanted to go with the Texans as my lock of the week, which we'll get to in a few minutes here.
Yeah, Danny D's lock of the week.
Danny D's lock of the week, yes, but Texans are very close to that. I love Texans -3.
You see, the Buccaneers are a tricky team. I know they're going to be missing Godwin and Evans, but they always play up to their competition. Mm-hmm. The Texans play down to their competition, so I think this is going to be a really close game. So give me the Buccaneers to win at home.
Ooh. Yeah, Tampa Bay on a 4-game win streak.
That's going to be a starting Saturday in Tampa Bay.
Give me the Texans to win.
Texans to win. All right, 4:30 game, Bills-Patriots, New England at home. They're 6.5-point favorites.
I think that the Buffalo Bills will cover.
Yeah.
I picked them to win last week. They came through for me. If you saw it on Instagram, you saw I was correct. I didn't believe in Duck Hodges, and I was correct on that. Josh Allen has a good game. The Bills' defense plays well, but the Patriots get the win in a close one.
Bold prediction, Bills money line. I think the Bills have a chance to win this division still.
Wait, how awesome would that be to see a Buffalo Bills home game in the playoffs?
Do you think the Patriots can lose 3 straight games?
Yes. The Patriots dynasty is dead.
Week.
What?
Dead.
Oh, no. That doesn't count as the Bengals.
The Patriots dynasty is dead. I'm done. I'm on the bandwagon.
You're calling dead
Throw
club.
me on the bandwagon.
OTD dead club.
Hey, and nobody circles the wagons.
Bro,
like the
we
Buffalo
say this every year. The
this
dynasty is not dead.
This is it. This is
when
it.
When Tom Brady is no longer playing.
Have you watched him play this year?
When Bill Belichick is no longer a part of the Patriots, the team is done.
The offense looks terrible.
Andrew, who are you picking for this game?
If it was in Buffalo, I'd probably pick the Bills, but I I think this is going to be a really close game again because the Bills don't get blown out. They haven't got blown out since they lost to the Eagles. But Patriots at home in December. Give me the Patriots.
You do not go against Tom Brady and the Patriots. I don't care how good or how bad he's playing. Tom Brady and the Patriots will win.
Quick tidbit: the over/under's 36.5, which is extremely low.
Hey, those are two.
I'm
rough
hammering the under on that.
Yeah, I think it's still under. All right, for the night game Saturday, San Francisco 6.5-point favorites at home against the Rams.
Well, these are two teams that we talked a lot about in the beginning segment, so you should be well versed in picking this game, and I think the 49ers will win this game. I think Jared Goff is terrible on the road, absolutely terrible, and the 49ers are pissed off. They need to get right for the Seahawks. This is their get-right game. Tough divisional game on a Saturday night. Niners win, Niners cover.
Yeah, after getting blown out the Rams last week, I don't see their confidence being there, especially when you have to go to the San Francisco. San Francisco minus 6.5, I like that.
Yeah, I mean, as Steve said, I mean, the Rams, they aren't good on the road. And, I mean, they looked terrible last week. They have nothing to play for now because they're pretty much eliminated. I mean, they're not technically eliminated, but they pretty much are. So, I mean, the 49ers, they need to win to keep up with the Seahawks. I think they'll be really hungry after a big loss. I think they're going to win big.
I think the Rams do show some fight, and I do see them winning this week.
The Rams winning this week.
Yes, the Rams.
Pablo is the different person for this game.
All right, let's do a quick pick here. Falcons-Jaguars.
Falcons-Jaguars. Falcons win. Falcons cover.
Falcons win. Falcons cover.
I literally hate the Jaguars. Give me the Falcons.
Jaguars wins, Falcons cover.
Well, that's it. The Falcons are the favorite.
Anyway, all right, moving on.
Wow.
Ravens.
I'll give you $1 million if that happens.
If that happens, you're going to be a very rich man, Pablo.
Ravens, Browns in Cleveland, Baltimore minus 10.
Ravens, Browns in Cleveland. The Ravens are going to avenge that loss that they had early in the season. They're going to win, and they're going to win big. Lamar goes off, and he helps you win your fantasy football championship.
This is an easy pick. You got the Ravens going into Cleveland and just rolling over this team. Odell, he's a crap talker. Baker Mayfield, he's a crap talker. I don't like crap talkers. So
crap talkers.
Hey, can you give a shout out to your player of the week for this game?
My player of the week, Lamar Jackson. That's my boy. LJ, I got the Ravens winning.
Big trust.
Big trust.
All right. Browns are already a dead club, so I can't beat on them too much. Give me the Ravens to win. I think the Browns cover though. 10 is a lot.
Why do we go over this?
I was going to agree. Browns plus 10. Ravens win, but Browns plus 10. Saints, Titans. Titans coming off a heartbreaker loss against the Texans last week. Saints 3-point road favorites.
This is a surprisingly good game. If you showed me the schedule in the beginning of the year and you said that this game is going to be your favorite game of the week, I would say you're crazy. Mm-hmm. But I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be close. The Titans are, what, it's 3.5?
3.
3-point
underdogs.
I think the Saints win. I think the Saints do cover because the Saints are hot right now. The Titans are coming off a rough loss, but the Saints are going to win this game. It's going to be good, though. It's going to be a tight game all the way, but the Saints cover it.
I think the Saints win as well.
Saints?
Yeah. Saints. Who dat?
I think that Tannehill magic ends this week. Give me the Saints.
Tannehill, chill, am I right?
Yeah, exactly. Saints are fighting for a top seed. Give me the Saints.
I mean, like the Buccaneers, I might just take the 3-point underdogs at home. And it's a scary line. Titans, when they're hot, they're hot. I mean, they had the bad loss last week, but I mean, when they're on their game, they're one of the better teams in the AFC. So give me the Titans to sneak a win.
That's going to be interesting.
Colts, Panthers. Colts favored by 7 points. I don't even care about this game.
This is the worst game of the week. The only way you're watching this game is if you have Christian McCaffrey in a fantasy football championship.
And I do.
So that's why but the Colts are going to win. The Panthers are going to cover.
I agree. Colts win, Panthers cover.
Panthers cover and win. In the Dome, Will Greer's first start. Give me the Panthers.
I got to piggyback on Andrew there. Panthers winning.
Big game for the Giants here. Dolphins, Bengals, depending on their picks. Sorry. Yeah, I'm not going on. I'm going for, I'm talking more chase.
All right.
If the Dolphins lose to the Bengals, that's a big story for the Giants. But if they win, the Giants are pretty much safe with that second pick. Miami, 1-point favorite. Oh, Redskins too. We'll get to them in a second because they're playing the Giants. But yes, Dolphins, 1-point favorite against the Bengals at home.
Now, this is one of the most interesting games of the week. Even though these teams suck, I think the Bengals are going to win this game. I think Andy Dalton is going to go into Miami and get one more signature win before he is unceremoniously kicked out of Cincinnati and becomes a backup in the NFL.
Yeah, last 3 picks, I think I'm agreeing with you. Bengals money line, I like them +1 or money line, whatever you want to do.
The Dolphins will not recover from losing back-to-back games in MetLife. So give me the Bengals to win. Andy Dalton's going to win me a fantasy championship.
Wait, you're starting Andy
I'm
Dalton?
starting Andy Dalton.
Oh, man.
Wow.
Pablo, change the subject.
The Bengals are going to win. Dolphins are the worst team in the NFL.
All right. Jets, Steelers, Jets at home. I'll be working this game. Pittsburgh 3-point favorites.
My Uncle Paul will be at this game.
Oh, yeah?
So I think the Jets get some luck, but not enough. The Steelers are going to win. The Steelers are going to cover. That line is small. That line is really small for a Jets team that really does not look that good. And the Steelers defense is going to have a field day. Yeah. So if you can get them in fantasy, I'd start them.
Yeah, Steelers 3-point favorites. I hate Duck Hodges, man. He looked terrible. Was it 4 interceptions in prime time? But this ain't prime time. He had a chance to win still. Yeah, he did have a chance to win through, I think, 2 red zone interceptions. Anyway, this isn't prime time. This is the New York Jets. I'm going with the Steelers -3.
Our resident Jet fan.
Sam Darnold, his stats in December the past 2 years, pretty good. Jamal Adams coming back, all-pro caliber player. Jets at home. Jets are 4-3 at home this year. Give me the Jets to win.
Oh, man.
You want to know what? I am rooting for the New York Jets here, New Jersey Jets, East Rutherford Jets, whatever you want to call them. But I don't think that they are able to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I just see the Pittsburgh Steelers going in there and just having a field day with the New York Jets.
More Steelers fans or more Jets fans? What do you think?
Steelers.
Jets.
Steelers.
Jets.
I think Steelers.
Steelers are one of the top 3 traveling teams in the league.
That's cute. Jets.
All right. A battle of 3-11 teams. Giants going to Washington. Washington 2.5-point favorites.
All right. Before I make this pick, let me bring up a question we have
go right
from
ahead.
Emily Treziak. She says, I love Eli Manning. Do you think he'll play again this week? Because I miss him and I want to see him play more. I don't think Eli Manning's going to play this week. Oh. I think that Eli, even if Daniel Jones isn't healthy, he shouldn't play this week. No. You cannot go out. Besides winning a Super Bowl, that was a perfect,
you can't give him the
perfect
chance,
way to go out. He won his last game, got a standing ovation, got a curtain call.
Is he at 500?
He's at 500, exactly. I think Eli won't play this week. I think that if Daniel Jones starts, the Giants will win this game. If Alex Tanney starts, the Redskins win this game. That's my prediction.
Yeah, and interesting, going with that question, an interesting thing I saw was a video of the locker room after when Eli got the game ball. He looked very emotional. It just looked like it's his last game. And the stadium, it was a great atmosphere. It was awesome to see a future Hall of Famer, I'll say it.
Future Hall of Famer, damn right he is.
But in this case, I don't know who's at quarterback. I don't think it's Eli, though, but Washington -2.5, I like that.
I think that Eli, that was the best game of the year for me besides the Daniel Jones Buccaneers game.
Mm-hmm.
Even though Eli didn't play that great, he had 3 picks. Threw some Eli-esque picks. He also had some great plays. That locker room speech, amazing. Almost brought tears to my eyes seeing how happy Eli was. And the one thing I loved that I read about Eli this week is the way he broke down his pregame speech, ended it with, fuck it, let's go. That is the least Eli Manning thing I've ever seen, but that was just perfect. It was perfect to me.
Makes sense. That's all you can do in that situation. Yep. I mean, what I heard, I'm hearing that Daniel Jones should be back. I heard he's back in practice, so I mean,
I'm pretty sure he's going to be starting this week.
I'm gonna expect Daniel Jones to be back. So give me the Giants to cover and win in Washington.
You know what? I am kind of going to disagree with you guys. I do think that Eli Manning does play this week.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. And unfortunately, I don't see him winning. So Eli Manning, he comes out again, which he really shouldn't. And I do think he gets killed.
So he's out a loser.
He gets under 500.
Well, I think if he does play this week and loses, he has to play week 17 no matter what. So
just let him finish the season. These guys
have a first-round quarterback. You gotta get him.
I think you get him the reps.
I think Eli Manning, he's perfect send-off. Just leave it at that. Let the young kid play.
I agree. Let's go to the next game.
Here's our 4:00 slate. Lions going to Denver. Denver 7-point favorites. Personally, Denver went back to earth last week against the Chiefs. I'm going to take the Broncos to win, but the Lions to cover 7.
I'll do a quick pick here. The Lions are the worst team in the NFL right now. They are terrible.
With their quarterback situation.
David Blau is not an NFL caliber player, and the Broncos win. Broncos cover. Best game of the year for the Broncos.
Fuck it. Give me David Blau to lose this week. Give me the Broncos.
Broncos. Come on, dude.
Broncos. All right. Maybe I'm the only one saying Lions +7, but that's all right. Raiders, Chargers, disappointing final game in Oakland. Chargers 7-point favorites after getting blown out by my Minnesota Vikings.
It doesn't get worse than the way the Oakland Raiders went out in Oakland.
Yeah.
That it was Oakland-esque the last 20 years. Yeah, the opposite of Eli Manning. And Derek Carr trying to shake all the Black Hole's hands, and what do they do to him? They boo him out of Oakland. And that's why he won't be the Raiders quarterback next year. John Gruden's getting his own guy.
Yeah.
But I think that the Oakland Raiders cover, but they do not win because these games are always tight between the Raiders and Chargers.
Yep.
6.5 is a big spread for the Chargers, who have like the worst margin of losses and victory of any team. So I think the Chargers are going to win this game, but it's going to be close.
Yeah, I got to agree. Those games are always very close. Give me the Raiders to cover, but Chargers to win.
Also, there's going to be way more Raiders fans in LA than Chargers fans.
Yeah.
Because every time they play there,
It's all
LA is a
Raiders,
Raiders city still, and
Raiders
it's going to be all Raiders fans.
Yeah, I mean, no Josh Jacobs. This is gonna be a really ugly game. But I don't like these teams. They've both been major disappointments this year. Give me the Chargers to win. I will say a little bold take. This time next year, they draft a first-round quarterback, and they have Teddy Bridgewater as their starting
Who, the
quarterback.
Chargers?
The Raiders.
Raiders. I like Bridgewater in Oakland. That'd be a good fit.
I am kind of going somewhere else. I do think that the Raiders. I think they win this week. It's definitely going to be a close game, but the Raiders. I just think things turn around for them.
All right, we're going to go with Cowboys-Eagles at 4 o'clock. We'll go with Andrew last, and we'll start with us three. Cowboys are 2.5-point favorites in Philadelphia. Give me the Cowboys.
I talked up the Cowboys all opening segment.
Yep.
As much as that hurt me, this is my least favorite matchup in the NFL every single year because these are two teams I hate the most.
Yep.
The Cowboys are going to win this game. The Eagles are starting nobody at wide receiver. I think Aguilar might be back, but that won't make a difference.
Yep.
And the Cowboys are going to win this game in Philly.
I agree. I do see the Cowboys winning this week.
And let's open it up to a new segment on Before the Score. It is Drew's Dead Club of the Week. So this is our first rendition.
First take.
Last week, I had the Browns losing in Arizona to the Cardinals because they were dead. They were a dead club, and it turned out to be true. This week, the Eagles, they won 3 in a row. They've won 2 out of 3. They lost to the Dolphins, should have lost to the Giants, should have lost to the Redskins. They look terrible. They're really banged up. Their offense hasn't looked great. Wentz, I mean, he's been all right against some really bad teams, but I mean, he hasn't looked that good this year. So give me the Cowboys to march into the link and win big.
All right, there you go. We're going to go with the last 4 o'clock game. Cardinals going on the road to Seattle. Seattle 9.5-point favorite.
I have Seattle winning this game, but a little tidbit is the Cardinals almost, I think, last 9 out of 10 times they played Seattle, they have covered. And I think the one time they didn't was the earlier game this year. Yeah. I think Kyler Murray and the Cardinals are hot. They go into Seattle. They cover the 9.5-point spread, but they lose the game.
Yeah, offense looked great last week against the Browns, but I'm going to go Seattle minus 9.5. They're one of those teams in the top of the NFC, like the Niners and the Packers, like those, and the Saints, that are going for that home field advantage in the playoffs. So give me the Seahawks big.
I mean, yeah, the Cardinals are always one of those sneaky cover teams. I mean, the Seahawks don't really blow anyone out. They played down a little bit to their competition. They didn't look great against Carolina last week. So not until this week. But yeah, give me the Seahawks to win. I think you'd be a little crazy to pick the Cardinals to win this week. Yeah. But I think the Cardinals do cover the 9.5.
We have a resident Seahawks fan on the pit right here.
Russell Wilson. That's all I got to say. Seahawks.
All right, Sunday Night Football. Chiefs going to Chicago. Kansas City minus 5.5.
All right, so for this game, we're going to introduce another one of our new segments.
Sorry with all these new segments, but you got to get used to it.
It's the second episode, so we have to introduce them real quick. So this one, we got Danny D's Lock of the Week, and of course, we only got one person left, so it's Dan.
So this is Danny D's Lock of the Week. So what I like about this game is that the Chiefs are 9-5 against the spread, and the Bears are 4-10 against the spread. 5.5 points for Kansas City to go into Chicago. Chicago has nothing to play for. They're out of the playoff picture. They're only averaging 18 points a game. The offense does not look good with Mitchell Trubisky. Their defense has been better, or has been great this year, but it hasn't been to the point where it was last year. Kansas City, if they go into a shootout with the Bears, there's no way Mitchell Trubisky is going to be able to keep up with them. I like Kansas City big here. 5.5. I'd go more than a touchdown. Love it. Danny D's Lock of the Week.
Oof.
There you go.
That's crazy. Yep. I do think the Chiefs win this game. I think they're just a plain better team than the Bears. I don't trust the Bears when they have nothing to play for. So, I mean, give me the Chiefs to win. But I think, I don't know. I have to go against Danny D's Lock of the Week. So give me the Bears to cover.
Go ahead and fade me. You'll lose money.
I'm going to have to go with Danny D's Lock of the Week. Yeah. I think the Chiefs win, Chiefs cover, Chiefs have more to play for. Bears, this game should have been flexed out of Sunday night.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that the Chiefs win, Chiefs cover.
Chiefs win, Chiefs cover.
All right. Thank you. And then for my game of the week, big game, Monday Night Football, Packers coming to Minnesota. Minnesota 5.5-point favorites. Crazy.
Before I make this pick, this is the last Monday Night Football game of the year. It's not the last time we'll see the Crew because they get one playoff game.
Ugh,
but I need to talk about Booger McFarland.
Unbelievable.
What are our thoughts on Booger McFarland? Is he a good Monday Night Football commentator
does
or
anyone
not?
think he's a good Monday Night
Booger?
Football commentator?
Honestly, I think he's so bad he is good. I am on Team Booger now.
Wow. I mean, he makes it so bad that it's funny to watch. But when Booger, he'll be like, oh, Baker Mayfield out of Oklahoma, 6'2", or 6 foot, 215 pounds. Like, I don't care these guys' weights, their heights. He's giving me all their stats. Like, just call the game how it is. He overthinks it, but I mean, yeah, maybe he's so bad that he's good. Maybe he's onto something.
And he drew an obscene gesture on
He
the
did.
teleprompter this week. I think that was that had to have been deliberate. You do not just do that without knowing.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry, Bobby G. I'm not Team Booger. I liked him last year with the Booger Mobile, but that's about it.
Can we get the Booger Mobile back?
If they had it back, then I'd go right back on to Team Booger. But until that happens, I can't do it.
Get him. I don't even like Tessitore. I don't think he has a good voice.
I like Tessitore because he reminds me of like a great value Gus Johnson because he calls it like a fight.
Yeah.
But because he's a boxing.
Yeah, he's a boxing. Yeah.
But I think that him and Booger together are just
it's hilarious.
They are. It's like a joke.
I know.
I imagine being on Monday Night Football. This historic thing. You go into the meeting with the media and everything, and it's Booger and Tessitore. It's like. Where's John Madden? Like, what is this? Who are these guys?
This booth might be better than last year with Witten because that was.
It's better than Witten, but dude, Booger. My favorite part about Booger last week, he had me crying when he was talking about LSU, ooey gooey cake, and pound cake. I'll tell you what, I never had ooey gooey cake, but I looked it up and it looked scrumptious, man.
You might have to try it.
Ooey gooey cake looked good. Apparently, he put like 5-6 of butter in it, though. I don't know if I could butter. But
let me tell you about butter. I don't even want to go over that right now.
That's even mean. Tell us about butter, Pablo.
Let's
go on.
All right. So,
story about butter.
Yeah, I don't want to go off topic here, but basically,
you already are.
Basically, my mom, she's making baked potato, right? So she's like, "Hey, Pepper, can you pick up some Can you pick up some butter?" And I was like, "So you went to the store? You didn't pick up any butter?" She's like, "No, I went to the store and I completely forgot." So I go to Quick Check. Obviously, it's right next to my house. I go to Quick Check and I'm looking. I'm in the aisle. You know, Quick Check is only about this big, and I'm looking for butter, and I just keep looking and looking and looking. And they have this small little thing. It's like all in like Spanish. It says like Mexican mantequilla. And I'm like, okay, I guess this works. I buy it.
That was your butter? That's what you bought?
That's what I bought. It was $6. I didn't feel like going to ShopRite. Anyway, so I get home. I'm like, hey, Mom, this is what they had. She's like, are you kidding me? This is what they had? This is what you brought? I'm like, what did you want me to do? So then she's like, all right, I guess this is what we're going to have to use. So she's looking in the fridge, and she finds some other type of butter that she could have just used, but she didn't look hard enough. Anyway, I'm over butter for the rest of the day.
That was your butter story?
That was butter. I don't even know how to follow that up.
All right, we're going to go.
I just want a prediction
go to
before
commercial
the prediction. Can I get a prediction for the Monday Night Football booth next year? Is Booger back?
The Boog is back.
The Boog is back.
Yeah. Give me some Boog.
I hope Booger returns. I hope it's the Booger Mobile and not the booth, but Booger is back.
Booger is a bad man, and Booger is back.
Booger is back. And for the game, I'm going to go with, I know Dan's not going to like this, but Aaron Rodgers is going to prove why he got in the Pro Bowl over Kirk Cousins and the Packers.
Oh, I'm going total opposite. Kirk Cousins pissed off. He should be in the Pro Bowl. I don't know about that line. 5.5
That's
seems
a big spread.
It is a big
spread.
But everyone has been saying, you look at all ESPN, Fox, most people have that the Vikings are in like rankings. They're above the Packers in these top 10 teams in the NFL. Like they're above. And there's a reason for that. That game, I think it was week 2, the Vikings gave up 21 points in the first quarter. And for the next 3 quarters, shut Aaron Rodgers out. I don't think Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur have a great relationship. The offense doesn't look good. Give me the Vikings. Very close game. I think maybe Kirk Cousins' final drive wins it for him.
Yeah. Primetime Kirk.
0-8 on Monday Night Football.
0-8 on Monday. I think he exercises his demons this week. I think Kirk Cousins wins a really big game for Minnesota. I think would they have the lead in the division if they win?
The thing is, no, they won it because it goes off division records, and the Vikings lost to the Bears week 4. So the next week, Green Bay plays the Lions. We would need Green Bay to lose to the Lions.
So they clinched the division.
So pretty much they clinched the division. But I want the 5 seed. If there's any way and hope,
You're also
I
not.
want the 5 seed.
There's also not a great shot to get the 5 seed anyway. But yeah, I mean, yeah.
Give me. Just have to go to Lambeau.
Yeah, I think the
play
Vikings win. Packers do cover though. I think 5.5 is pretty crazy.
So really, the Vikings are more to play for than the Packers in this game.
The Packers have a chance.
Well, they
again,
have a shot for they should have the shot for the 1 seed. The
Yeah,
Packers. They have 11 wins.
Well, they're 2 seed right now. Yeah. Packers or Vikings.
Packers.
Packers. Who covers?
Well, Packers
cover. Oh, yeah,
Obviously, Packers have to cover.
That's
But
what I am.
I just think you never go against the Packers. They're a very veteran team, very experienced team, and I just think it's going to be a close game. But I do see the Packers winning.
Kansas City Chiefs -5.5. Remember that. Bet that.
It's Denny D's lock of the week. Pablo Power Player of the Week. Lamar Jackson. Drew's
Eagles are
Dead
canceled.
Club is the Eagles for this week. Samra Story of the Week, of course, my New York Knicks tape. That's all the time we got for the Before the Score podcast for today. If you want to stick around, we're gonna do a quick wrestling segment. If not, that's all you got to listen to.
That's all we got. Episode 2. Good time with the boys.
Yeah, episode 2. So let's get into wrestling right now. Me and Pablo are gonna talk some wrestling for you. And what happened this weekend? It was TLC.
TLC. Yep.
Usually, though, it's been the worst pay-per-view of the recent. It's been the worst pay-per-view over the last couple of years, honestly.
Well, Steve, you want to know something? To be honest, I hate all these gimmick pay-per-views. I don't think TLC, Hell in a Cell, Extreme Rules. I don't think these pay-per-views should exist. That's not how you build a storyline. To be honest, I don't even think there should be a pay-per-view per month. I think it should be something similar to how AEW has it, which, there's a kind of like a big major pay-per-view over like a span of 3 or 4 months, and that's really how you build a storyline.
I agree with that. I think that the oversaturation of the pay-per-view market has really hurt the WWE product.
Yep.
It's created forced rivals, forced matches, forced title defenses, and it's cheapened it almost is like the way Brock Lesnar's schedule works should be the WWE's pay-per-view schedule.
It should be.
Because he shows up for the big events, and that's when you should have the big matches. I would have to agree with you there. I think they oversaturate the market.
I mean, it's. I don't want to go off topic, but I do think the reason why people don't like Brock Lesnar is they just don't, like the style that he wrestles, and all his matches are the same. He's a big man. He throws you around, suplex. The small guy gets a little bit of offense in him, and you think they're gonna win, and then out of nowhere he hits him with an F5 and he wins, and that's how it goes in every match. But gimmick pay-per-views, it's just not a way to go. Now, what did you think of the Bray Wyatt Miz match?
Now, all right, let's get into that later. Let's go match by match TLC. We'll do a little review. So the first match was Humberto Carrillo defeating Andrade. And personally, I don't care for either of these two people right now. Humberto does not excite me. Doesn't get me, blew my eyes to the TV. Andrade, he's a fantastic wrestler, but his character has been watered down by the WWE. And I think that Humberto defeating Andrade is just, when is this rivalry going to end? I don't care.
Well, is it really a rivalry when you see this match every single week? I mean, to be honest, I don't like Humberto Carrillo. This guy's face.
I don't get the infatuation.
This guy's face just bothers me, dude. His dimples, I can't stand him.
He is an extremely punchable face.
Extremely punchable. He's turn off my TV worthy.
And they are pushing him so hard.
I don't see it. I really don't see it. He walks out there. He looks like a little Power Ranger.
Yeah, he does.
He might be able to go in the ring, but who cares about him? There's no development around him. Andrade should be top 5 guys in the whole company. This guy is that good, especially being boyfriend to Charlotte Flair. This is ridiculous. There's no reason why this guy is in the position that he's in.
I agree. Andrade deserves a higher place in the card, and I think he'll get it eventually. But man, the time is ticking for this guy. They lose interest in him. The next match was the New Day, which was Big E and Kofi Kingston, of course, since Xavier Woods is injured, and defeating the Revival, who I think the Revival, they need something better than these storylines they're put into.
You want to know something about the Revival? I really do think that they are waiting for their contracts to expire, and then they're going to head over to All Elite Wrestling. Now, at first, I believe that WWE was kind of pushing them, hey, guys, sign with us. And I don't think they have any intention of staying with the company. So I do think they are putting them in these big match situations, but not giving them any success. And that's why the New Day, to be honest, the New Day, they're good, they're talented. I'm just tired of seeing them.
Well, on the opposite end of the spectrum, the New Day all signed new contracts this week. So
exactly.
That's big news. But I think just the way they have handled Kofi Kingston since he lost his title is atrocious to me. He doesn't get a rematch. He doesn't even come out pissed off. He doesn't even go and be like, Brock Lesnar, I want a rematch. I want my title back. He didn't even mention it. It might have not even happened. His title reign was easily the best part of WWE for the whole year so far. I just don't get it. Where is the disconnect? Why is this not clicking?
It's just there's no continuity, with any of these storylines. 1 week a guy could be challenging for the title, and then the next week he doesn't even talk about the title. Or 1 week somebody will come out and just look at the champion. He has a title match, and then this feud goes on for 4 months. It makes no sense.
Yeah, you're telling me that Kofi Kingston, if you put me in the losing a title to Brock Lesnar in any sport, in UFC, in NFL, anything, you're pissed off and you say, I want a rematch.
Exactly.
He doesn't even mention
and
it.
even if
it
you
doesn't
don't,
make
even
any
if you
sense.
even if you don't want to, even if you don't get a rematch, you should be working your ass
Yeah.
off and just trying your best to be at the top level. I mean, it's BS. There's no reason why you should be at the top of the game. The number one guy, maybe not top wrestler in the company, but when you're the champion, you're the number one guy in the whole entire
And it's
company.
not like he was some Joe Schmo. He had fantastic matches.
He did.
Cut fantastic promos. He had a great storylines. He had a way better reign than Seth Rollins had. Seth Rollins was still at the top of the card. I just don't get it, and I hope that it changes. I just don't see how you go from WWE champion to losing the title and say, okay, I'll go for
You want to know what, Steve?
titles.
I don't think it's going to change as long as he's with the New Day. I just think in order to,
But they'll never break up.
I can't say that.
That's what they say.
I can't say that.
If it's coming straight from the horse's mouth.
That's a money storyline.
Yeah, no, it is. But I think that's a WrestleMania main event storyline.
Yeah.
But
it's a lazy WrestleMania main event story. Triple threat match.
Aleister Black defeated Buddy Murphy, and probably the best match of the night.
Yep.
It was the best match of the night. These are two of the most talented guys in the entire company.
So you're telling me that Aleister Black actually came out the closet?
Yeah, he did for the first time in God knows how long.
Aleister Black, super talented guy. He is not the guy we saw in NXT, and it's not really his fault. This guy is never given a chance to show his true value on Raw or SmackDown when he was on SmackDown. This guy's a complete utter waste on the whole company. And in terms of Buddy Murphy,
every single thing you said about Aleister Black is true about Buddy Murphy as well.
Exactly.
They are both two of the top 10 talents in the whole WWE. They are up there. They can cut promos. They have the look. They can wrestle. They're amazing wrestlers. That match was fantastic.
Buddy Murphy, I think, has the Alexa Bliss effect, where when they were together, that's something where like, oh, Buddy Murphy. Let's look at Buddy Murphy. He's with Alexa Bliss. They were together. Let's push Buddy Murphy. He's a fantastic worker. But, that's just something I really don't understand. I don't understand the WWE's in faction with all these blondes. And to be honest, I'm very surprised that Andrade is not higher up in the company, especially being with Charlotte. It doesn't make sense to me.
Well, moving on to one of our two tables, ladders, and chairs matches, the pay-per-view namesake, we had Baron Corbin versus Roman Reigns. And I actually am in the minority here because I think Baron Corbin has been fantastic as a heel. Although I am not a big fan of his wrestling and his character, just the amount of heat he gets for his character, very old school.
Steve, I'm going to tell you something here. I was watching the pay-per-view and I just completely skipped this match. I do not care.
I didn't care about this match, but and his work in general, honestly.
Nobody cares about Baron Corbin. Nobody cares about him.
They love to hate him, though.
No, they love never to see him on TV. This guy has no talent whatsoever. I mean, I don't know, man. This guy, he's the type of heel that you just love to boo because he sucks, not because he's a good heel. And in terms of Roman Reigns, they're kind of doing...
Well, my thing is, what is the point of a TLC match with no championship, no stake?
Why are these guys... Okay.
Why are they in a TLC match?
All right, let's stop right here. What's this whole deal with like the barking and the dog treats and the dog food? What's this whole thing here?
The big dog. That's what they're fighting over. That moniker.
That's why the TLC gimmick pay-per-view needs to be gone. It needs to be finished because there's no reason why
it's forced.
All right, it's December every year. All right, we're gonna have a TLC match. What's gonna be the TLC match? Let's have the big dog versus Baron Corbin. That's stupid, man.
It is stupid. But it was just really bad. And let's move on from that match because I don't even want to go back to thinking about it. You have match number 6 on the card. It was Bray Wyatt defeating The Miz, which was my favorite part of the show, easily. And I think Bray Wyatt's character was masterfully done. I think the way they had him wrestle as, not The Fiend, but Bray Wyatt was great. And how he had the second title, that he brought the real title instead of the Fiend title. And The Miz, he's just one of those guys you plug in and boom, he's fine.
You want to know something, Steve? I do think kind of with Bray Wyatt and the Fiend gimmick, I feel like the whole time they were thinking, all right, Bray Wyatt, he's just one thing with the Firefly Funhouse, and while he's on TV, he's gonna be the Fiend. But I think eventually they were like, all right, Fiend. That
you had to balance it out.
You had to balance it out, but I feel like they should have done that from the beginning. There's no reason why we should have seen the Fiend every single week on every single pay-per-view. There's no reason for all that. So I do think this Bray Wyatt thing should have been happening from the beginning.
I agree, but I think it's a positive development, and it's not going to hurt his character.
Well, what's going to happen? What's going to happen with Daniel Bryan?
I love the look how Daniel Bryan's back in his American Dragon look. They cut his hair, dude. I couldn't believe how different he looked. He looked like he was 25.
He looks like Orange Cassidy. Let's be honest here.
But I think that storyline, that is money, and they'll have a match at Royal Rumble. I think you could have saved that for WrestleMania, but reports are that they want Roman Reigns versus the Fiend at WrestleMania. But the Yes Movement would be back with Daniel Bryan against the Fiend.
Well, I don't understand things like this. Why not build this? Over months. I don't understand.
That's easy WrestleMania main event.
That's easy. Why not just have Daniel Bryan chase and win the Royal Rumble? Why can't they do something like that?
I agree.
It doesn't make sense.
Well, little rumor with the Royal Rumble, to interrupt what we're talking about, is they want an NXT superstar to win the Royal Rumble.
Who?
They just said NXT superstar because they want.
If it's not Adam Cole, if it's not Adam Cole, I don't want to hear.
But it wouldn't. But would the NXT superstar challenge for the title at Mania? Would they challenge a Takeover? Like,
you have to challenge at Mania.
You have to challenge if I win the NXT. Well, if I win the Royal Rumble as an NXT superstar, I'm challenging for the WWE title. I'm not challenging for the NXT title. So I just hope they use some logic. I hope that's not like, I want to face you a takeover. No, I want to go to WrestleMania, the main event, because that's where we're trying to get.
I think these rosters are so stacked that I do think they're going to expand. Kind of like how it was a few years ago in 2011 when you had the 40-man Royal Rumble. I think eventually they're going to do something where they're going to have guys from Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and that's just something I like it in terms of being able to showcase all this talent, but I don't like it in terms of you guys are shoving, these NXT guys down our throat, and you want to show them on Monday, on Friday, on Wednesday.
Survivor Series.
There's no reason for that. There's no reason why these guys should be wrestling at a takeover and then WrestleMania the next day. It's ridiculous.
You're gonna have to probably eliminate the takeover, which would be unfortunate because that's the best thing they put out all year.
It's ridiculous.
I agree, but another thing that's ridiculous is this Bobby Lashley Rusev Lana storyline. This is the worst thing on TV nowadays. And we had a tables match. They finally got their hands on each other. Very disappointing match. Not many people cared for good reason. They didn't give us a reason to care. Bobby Lashley won, but this storyline seems like it's far from over. I don't want to watch it anymore.
All right.
I change the channel every time it's on.
Steve, let me ask you this, right? If somebody were trying to go after your wife and trying to steal your wife, your big payoff match is going to be a tables match? It doesn't make any sense. To be honest, if they were going to even have a match at TLC...
It should have been the TLC match. If they were going to have a match,
no,
honestly.
To be honest, I think it should have been a I Quit match or a Extreme Rules.
But if you want to go with
a no holds barred match, I don't understand what a table has to do with having your wife taken away from you. It doesn't make any sense to me.
I agree. I think that was a stupid decision. If you're going to have this match on TLC, no matter what, you gotta have some more violent. This is like bad blood in real life.
Yeah, it's like it's a little Disneyland match, man. It's a cute little match, and I cannot wait. I don't understand why Lana and Rusev signed extensions with this company. They are complete and utter idiots.
Yeah,
the company does not care about them. If they are showcasing you and your wife being with another man, and that is something where they're really pushing on TV, that means that they don't care about you. They only really care about this drama storyline, and Bobby Lashley has no talent. This guy, other than his look, he's a complete waste of time. Rusev is very talented, but they're wasting him. Lana, they're wasting her. They're only using her for her looks, and it's completely ridiculous.
I hope that the only saving grace of this is if Rusev gets a main event push after this, and that's all I have on that because I don't even want to talk about it.
He's not. This dude is buried.
And the final match, which it was a car crash. Honestly, that's the best way I can describe it. Was the Kabuki Warriors defeating Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair. This match, it just made no sense to even have this match to me. I don't know how you can main event TLC with this match either. It just, I just didn't like it. It was just ugly.
Why are the Kabuki Warriors even a team? Because they're both Japanese. I hate these makeshift tag teams. These guys were not tag teams in NXT. They just put Kairi Sane. She was really, who was she with in NXT? Dakota Kai.
Yeah, Dakota Kai.
Which it bothers the hell out of me. There's no reason why these guys should be a team. There's no reason why these 4 talented women should be in a tag team match for this useless tag team title that, to be honest, should have never been made in the first place. There are way too many meaningless titles in this company.
Do you think WWE is kind of pushing the women's revolution down our throats now with this match main eventing over, say, the Bray Wyatt Miz match could have been the main event? I think that would have been a better main event than this TLC match thrown together a week ago.
I think they're pushing Charlotte and Becky down our throat. Nobody cares about Charlotte. Nobody cares that Becky is boyfriend, girlfriend with Seth Rollins. It's done. Nobody cares about that. And that's just something that they're going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing. They want to be the first ever. They want to be the company with the most women main events. And it's disgusting, bro.
I agree. And I just think that all amounted to one of the worst pay-per-views of the year in TLC. One of the worst wrestling shows of the year. So let's move on to a company that may be a little more exciting right now in AEW. We'll open up to a question we got from Bobby Krepic. He says, how long do you guys think Jericho will have the title, and who should he drop it to? I'll let you answer it first.
I'm not sure how long he should have the title, but I do think it should be at least longer than the next pay-per-view, and I think the guy he ultimately drops it to is going to be Dean Ambrose. I'm sorry, Jon Moxley.
I was going to say the exact same thing. I think that the pay-per-view coming up, I think it's called Revolution or something. Yes. I think that is not where you have him drop it. You give him a little bit more of a run. He needs some more time. He has been a fantastic champion. He's been a better champion than anybody in WWE has. Kofi King, his run has been better than Kofi Kingston's run was this year. I think he'll drop it to Jon Moxley, like you said. I think the only other person he could have possibly dropped it to was Cody Rhodes, and he can't get a shot. So.
Well, that's the thing. I don't see him going against MJF. MJF is going to be a monster heel. So I do think if he drops it to anybody, it's going to be Jon Moxley. Absolutely.
I agree with you. I think that it's going to be a great blow off match, though, in my opinion. Any other AEW news and notes that you could think of?
I mean, just look at Cody Rhodes, man. This guy is the best promo in the entire business right now.
He is the best mic worker they got.
He's the best
mic worker. In WWE, in Ring of Honor, any other company.
But you want to know something? It's not like WWE doesn't have these guys that can, go out there and just kill it. They're just not allowed to.
They don't open it up to
and
them.
Talk their mind. It's not fair. WWE, they've had their hands on all these talented guys. They've been in charge of all these talented guys. But when they get them, they handcuff them and they tie them down to the point where they're not allowed to really show off their true identity. They have no personality.
I agree, and I think that's a problem WWE has to fix if they want to be able to give the same quality that AEW has been giving. That's all I got on wrestling. Do you have any other news and notes?
No. I mean, Chris Jericho is killing it right now, and what do you say we have a little bit of the bubbly?
A little bit of the bubbly. Episode 2. Cheers to episode 2. We'll have more on wrestling next week. More on NFL. More on MLB. Hopefully some more breaking news in the WWE. We'll see where we go from here. This was Before the Score, episode 2. That's all we got for this week.